Nobody respects you. You notice it even if you don't want to admit it. It's not that they openly despise you. It's not that they blatantly ignore you. It's worse, they tolerate you. They smile at you out of politeness. They listen to you out of obligation. And you, like many, confuse this with respect. But deep down, you know if you disappeared tomorrow, the world would continue without pause, without impact. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this brutal reality 5 centuries ago when he wrote The Prince. His most misquoted line reveals a truth few are willing to confront. It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both. But what most miss is the critical second part of his philosophy. Avoid being hated at all costs. The art is not in being feared through cruelty. That's the amateur's mistake. The mastery lies in commanding a specific kind of fear. The fear of disappointing you, the fear of losing your presence, the fear of violating your boundaries. This is the forbidden technique, not manipulation or tyranny, but strategic respect built through consistent principles. Let's begin with what Machiavelli really meant. Fear and hatred are not the same emotion, though many confuse them. Fear is anticipatory, it looks forward to potential consequences. Hatred is reactionary, it responds to perceived injuries already inflicted. The distinction matters profoundly. When people fear you properly, they fear failing your standards. They fear disappointing someone they respect. They fear the withdrawal of your approval, not because you're volatile, but because your approval carries genuine weight. This form of fear creates order, predictability, and security. People know exactly where they stand with you. Hatred, by contrast, emerges when people feel dehumanized, humiliated, or treated unjustly. It festers when you're inconsistent, when you punish emotionally rather than logically, when your reactions are disproportionate to transgressions. Hatred is what happens when fear is mismanaged. Machiavelli wasn't advocating for tyranny, he was advocating for strategic consistency, the kind that makes your presence felt even in your absence. Respect from others begins with a fundamental truth. You must first respect yourself. This isn't abstract philosophy, it's psychological reality. When you set standards for yourself that you consistently meet, when you make commitments to yourself that you honor without fail, you build the foundation of what others will perceive as commanding presence. Self-respect manifests in how you speak about yourself, how you allow others to speak to you, and what behaviors you tolerate. It shows in your posture, your eye contact, your willingness to maintain silence rather than fill it with nervous chatter. It reveals itself in your ability to say no without explanation, to disagree without apology, to stand alone when necessary. People instinctively calibrate their treatment of you based on how you treat yourself. Set the bar low and they'll step over it. Set it high with consistency, and they'll either rise to meet it or remove themselves from your presence. Machiavelli understood that authority doesn't come from impulsive reactions or emotional outbursts. It comes from something far more powerful, predictable consequences. Not harsh ones, not disproportionate ones, predictable ones. When someone fails you, they should know exactly what will happen, not because you've threatened them, but because you've established patterns they can rely on. This isn't about punishment in the conventional sense. It's about consistency of response. If someone disrespects your time by consistently arriving late, they lose access to your calendar. If someone betrays your confidence, they lose access to your trust. If someone fails to meet standards in work, they lose the privilege of collaboration. No drama, no emotional reactions, just clear, consistent consequences that arrive with the certainty of gravity. The earth doesn't get angry when you drop a ball. It simply exerts its consistent force. Be like gravity, reliable, impersonal, and absolutely consistent. This predictability creates a framework where people understand boundaries not as emotional reactions but as natural laws of your presence. They know that certain actions will trigger certain responses, not because you're vengeful, but because you're principled. The most sophisticated form of fear isn't the fear of punishment. It's the fear of regret. It's not about making people afraid of what you'll do to them. It's about making them afraid of losing what you provide. When your presence adds genuine value, whether through wisdom, opportunity, stability, or growth, people naturally fear its absence. This isn't manipulation. It's human nature. We value what enhances our lives and fear losing it. The key is making your presence valuable not through external trappings of power or status, but through the quality of your character, the wisdom of your counsel, the reliability of your word. When people know your yes means yes and your no means no, when they know you speak truth even when it's difficult, when they know you maintain standards even when it costs you, your presence becomes irreplaceable. In this state, you don't need to threaten or coerce. People fear disappointing you not because they fear punishment, but because they fear losing access to someone who makes their life better through their mere existence. Here's where the distinction between fear and hatred becomes crucial. A tyrant punishes without redemption. A respected leader provides a path back, but only one. When someone violates your boundaries or fails your standards, provide one clear opportunity for redemption. Not endless chances, not zero chances, one. This measured approach accomplishes several things. It demonstrates that your standards are firm but not rigid. It separates mistakes from character flaws. It separates those capable of growth from those who aren't. This single window of redemption is critical. Offer no opportunity for redemption, and you breed resentment. Offer unlimited opportunities, and you breed contempt. Offer exactly one clearly defined chance, and you breed respect. The redemption must be earned, not given. It must require genuine effort, acknowledged wrongdoing, and demonstrated change. When these conditions are met, redemption must be complete. No grudges, no bringing up past transgressions, no partial restoration. Either someone is redeemed or they aren't. This approach creates immense psychological leverage. People know they have a path back, but they also know it's singular. This creates the fear of wasting their one chance, which is far more motivating than either hopelessness or complacency. Machiavelli recognized that image is everything. It's not only what you are, but what others perceive you to be. This isn't about deception. It's about strategic communication of your true self. Most people reveal themselves completely, their insecurities, their doubts, their weaknesses, and then wonder why others don't respect them. Respect isn't gained through transparency. It's gained through curated authenticity. Control information about yourself strategically. Speak less than you know. Reveal your reasoning sparingly. Keep some thoughts private, not to deceive, but to maintain depth. Let people wonder about certain aspects of your character. This controlled perception creates what psychologists call the mystique of scarcity. People value what they cannot fully access or understand. By maintaining certain boundaries around your thoughts, feelings, and personal history, you create depth that commands respect. The mistake many make is believing they must be an open book to be authentic. The opposite is true. Being selective about what you share doesn't make you fake. It makes you discerning. It signals that access to your inner world is a privilege, not a right. The one who is always available, always eager, always present, loses value. This isn't manipulation. It's basic human psychology and economics. What is scarce becomes precious. What is abundant becomes cheap. Your presence, your time, attention, energy, and approval should be treated as the valuable commodity it is. This doesn't mean becoming aloof or inaccessible. It means being intentional about when and how you show up. When you're present, be fully present. When you're absent, be fully absent. No half measures. When you speak, speak with purpose. When you're silent, be comfortable in that silence. People respect those who can enter a room without announcing themselves but command attention naturally. Leave a conversation when it no longer serves a purpose. Decline invitations without elaborate excuses. Withdraw attention when boundaries are crossed. This strategic distance isn't about playing games. It's about recognizing your own value and expecting others to do the same. When you treat your presence as precious, others will too. At the heart of Machiavelli's philosophy lies a truth few are willing to confront. The person who cannot control their emotions cannot control anything else. Emotional mastery isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about choosing when and how to express them. People fear those who remain calm when everyone else loses composure. They respect those who can receive criticism without defensiveness, face challenges without anxiety, address wrongdoing without rage, make decisions without being swayed by momentary emotions. This calm certainty creates a gravitational pull. People naturally orbit around those who maintain their center while chaos swirls around them. This isn't stoicism for its own sake. It's strategic composure that signals something rare and valuable: self-mastery. The person who can be provoked cannot lead effectively because they can be manipulated. The person who loses emotional control hands power to whoever triggered them. True power lies in being the one who decides when to show emotion, not the one compelled to display it. While fear can be productive, hatred is always destructive. Machiavelli was explicit about this. A leader must avoid being hated at all costs. But how do you command fear without tipping into hatred? The answer lies in justice. People accept fear when they perceive it as just. They resist it when they perceive it as arbitrary. The difference is motivation. When your standards and consequences are applied equally to all, proportionate to transgressions, based on actions, not persons, consistent regardless of your mood, transparent in their purpose, then fear becomes respect rather than resentment. People may fear disappointing you, but they don't hate you for it because they recognize the fairness of your approach. Hatred emerges when people feel singled out, when punishment seems personal rather than principled, when consequences seem designed to humiliate rather than correct. Avoid these perceptions at all costs. How does this philosophy translate into daily practice? Through a series of consistent behaviors that, over time, establish your authority without triggering resentment. Speak less, observe more. Let others reveal themselves while maintaining your own mystery. Respond rather than react. Create space between events and your response to them. Set clear expectations up front. People can't respect boundaries they don't know exist. Follow through on consequences without emotion. Let the consequence speak for itself. Value your time visibly. Be punctual yourself and expect it from others. Give praise specifically, criticism generally. Be precise about what's done well, general about what needs improvement. Control your environment when possible. Meet on your terms in your territory when stakes are high. Maintain physical composure. Your body communicates more than your words ever will. Be comfortable with silence. Let others fill the conversational void. Make decisions definitively. Avoid revisiting settled matters unless new information emerges. These practices aren't about manipulation, they're about clarity. They establish you as someone who knows their worth, maintains their standards, and expects others to rise accordingly. The purpose of commanding respect isn't dominance for its own sake. It's creating the conditions for something greater to emerge. When people respect you properly, when they fear disappointing you rather than fear you directly, they become capable of their best work. Proper authority creates space for creativity within clear boundaries, motivation without micromanagement, initiative guided by principles rather than procedures, loyalty based on respect rather than obligation. This is why Machiavelli's technique remains relevant 5 centuries later. It's not about wielding power arbitrarily. It's about wielding it purposefully to create environments where excellence can flourish. The world doesn't follow the nicest person. It follows the most coherent one, the one who never doubts even when everyone else does, the one who punishes justly, rewards logically, and doesn't stray for cheap emotions. That person imposes without raising their voice, without seeking attention, because real respect, when it's real, doesn't need explanations. Here's the truth no one wants to hear. If you are not respected, it's not the world's fault. It's yours, because you taught others how to treat you. You were flexible when you had to be firm. You stayed silent when you had to speak. You forgave when you had to close the door. But here's the good news. You can change it. Not tomorrow, today. With every decision you make, with every rule you impose, with every limit you uphold. You don't have to be cruel, just clear, consistent, firm, relentless. Respect is built like a wall, brick by brick, decision after decision. It's not fast, it's not easy, but it's eternal. And when you have it, you feel it, in how they look at you, in how they talk to you, in how they are careful not to cross the line. Because they know you do not hesitate. Because they know you do not forget. Because they know you do not give more than someone deserves. And that, in a soft and contradictory world, is pure gold. Machiavelli wasn't talking about evil. He was talking about power. And power is not dominating others. It's dominating yourself. Not being a slave to your emotions. Not letting yourself be carried away by guilt or fear. Being a block of marble in the midst of chaos. Being the one who imposes order in a world of grays. And that is not achieved with speeches. It is achieved with rules, with consequences, with respect earned, not asked for. The final question is this: how predictable are you? Do people know what you will do if they fail you? Or do they still believe you can forgive everything? Because there lies the core of respect, in being known so well that they dare not test your limits because they know there's no turning back. And yet they follow you because they know that if you are in their life, it's because you're worth it. Because you give only one chance, but when you give it, it's real. Because you punish without hate and forgive without weakness. Because your authority is not a mask, it's an extension of your identity. The choice is yours now. Will you continue to be ignored? Or will you become the authority that everyone prefers not to challenge? Remember, respect is not asked for. It is imposed. And it is imposed in silence.